Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learn From Us Investor Academy.
Hold on. Hot mic. Let's do it again.
I always mess this up. You think I know what company we are. Welcome to the Learn From Us Investor Academy podcast, starring the one, the only Seth Kirchanen.
Damn, that was awkward.
Oh, guys, you got to go to YouTube and see Paul like trying to celebrate his glory, and I just steal it from him.
His dab was about 20 seconds too
Too
early
late.
there.
He let it hang there for the introduction. As always, this is Seth. This is my comrade in charge. Paul and Andrew is here for another Deal of the Week. We can't thank you guys enough for following. We love the comments. Paul, we get texts and emails and Facebook messages, and people slide into your DMs telling you how great the podcast is.
And I always respond with, "You trying?"
Oh,
Do you remember the reference to that?
That dropped like a bomb.
Yeah, that was the best. It's like crickets. The "you trying's great. And I just explained that to Tim the other day. He just finally found out what the "you trying" means.
I'm
For anyone who wants to know what that means, just go Google J.R. Smith, J.R. Smith, and "you trying," and it's great. Basically, he tried to have sex with a 17-year-old. So anyhow,
back to the lecture at hand.
yes. What is the lecture at hand?
We're here today, as always. We're getting great feedback on the Deal of the Week podcast that we do with Andrew. Andrew comes to us with a real deal on a property somewhere in the nation. Paul comes at these blind, and these two, the Zen guru here tries to analyze the numbers right in front of us to come up with, is this a good deal? Is this a shit deal? Is this something that Paul's company would want to pursue? I know as a beginning real estate investor like myself, trying to go through, perhaps our main clientele, I love hearing what these guys have to say about a property. And so, Andrew, maybe take it away. Tell us where we're at in the country today and what kind of property we're talking about. And as always, Paul, make sure you tell us your thoughts in that brain of yours.
All right, Seth, we were talking yesterday. One thing you said is that people were watching the podcast, and your comment was, hey, we love the 100-unit deals, but if I'm going to jump into this, there's a good chance I may jump in, dip my toe in the pool with a 4-unit or something smaller, more approachable.
That's right.
So that's what we're focusing on today.
Wow.
We're going for the 4-unit.
Okay.
And I think we're going to try to focus on that going forward. We want to also show people the deals we do get as to show variety, but yes.
Yeah, we'll get some.
I think we need to focus on the 4 smaller deals and all that stuff.
So as going exactly down your path, you have, let's say, a random person says, man, I want to get in real estate. How am I going to find it? Maybe they're looking on Zillow. Maybe they go to a real estate agent and say, help me. That's also assuming they missed all the other podcasts. But
Okay. Right. Good point.
So they go to someone, and where do they look? The MLS.
Yes.
That's where they're going to find some stuff.
Yawn City.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So usually, from what I've gathered with my first flip, which is a podcast that just went out, Tim, is that 19? It just went out. One of the podcasts coming out is just discussing my first flip that I did last year. And from what I've gathered, if a property hits the MLS, you're already sort of behind the 8 ball because everyone else can see it as well. So it's much harder to get a good deal. Paul, is that the case?
Yes, that is exactly the case. We always talk about competition, and the more people that see it, the more competition you have. Therefore, the higher the price will be driven, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, Andrew, tell us about this property.
So again, looking on the MLS, this is something that's it's West 112th Cleveland, which is actually near you're getting closer into the Lakewood area.
Yeah.
4 units. You've got 2 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 1 bath, and then a couple more 1 bed, 1 bath. So average rent right now, without doing the math, it's somewhere around $600, Paul. You see in the middle there?
Yeah, I see 620, 525, 650, 600.
So property's been on the market 264 days.
Long time.
It's been hanging around.
So that automatically means it's probably overpriced, right?
Well, that's a good assumption. Maybe there's a reason why the seller's not taking offers that were made on it already. Again, you've been sitting for a good chunk of the year. And to your point, when it hits the MLS, a lot of people already seen it. Well, not only did some people see it already, but now 264 days of opportunities have passed. So does that mean it's bad? No. And by the way, timing's everything. To a seller, you don't know. Maybe 263 days ago, they put it on and said, let's see how much we can possibly get for this.
Uh-huh.
And not to wish anyone harm or anything like that. That's not the point. But how do you know that someone's spouse didn't die last week? Or a relative, and they're like, hey, I was putting it on because I getting a job transfer, I got to move. And then all of a sudden something changed in their life. Now it went from I'd like to sell to I have to sell.
I see.
So timing could benefit you. So one of the things that we do, we're constantly putting offers in on the idea that you don't know when someone's willing to take something. So just because we're 60% of an offer is not going to mean I'm not going to offer it. Figure out what it's worth to me, and I'll put an offer in. So, Paul, you've had a
Can
chance
I make
to...
a comment?
Yeah.
The first part is really funny to me. So they have 4 rents listed. Unit 1, $620. Unit 2, $525. Unit 3, $650. Unit 4, $600. So the highest rent is Unit 3 at $650. And then you read the comments. Unit 3 is not occupied. The owner just estimates that's the rent it should get. It just happens to be the highest one by far. And it's always funny with us because every owner, Seth, will take their property and say, oh, well, you could do this. You could get this market rent. Well, if it's so easy to get it, go get it. Go get it.
Yeah.
First thing I see. So total rent collected, I'm not going to give them $650 on that rent. I'm going to give them $600. So let's say $600, $1,800, 23, call it $2,400, $600 a unit. Are they all the same? Oh, no, 2, 1. Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
He was asking about unit mix. There's 2 beds and 1 bed.
2 beds and 1 bed.
Yeah.
Let's back up real quick before you get into numbers.
Yeah, no problem.
Initial, I know what I'm talking about. I need your help. Are we looking at the physical building, the location? The first glance is like, what do you see? I mean, I know you always say you see numbers. You look at the potential. And work
fair enough.
Right?
That's a good question.
So the market, it's not Lakewood, it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland schools, which some people would sit there and say, oh, I don't want that. 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom. You're probably getting a single or a couple who it's a very blue collar area, correct?
Yeah.
You're not getting so a lot of Lakewood properties get a lot of young professionals who want to still live in a suburb but don't want to live downtown but want to work downtown, et cetera.
There's a good chance you're getting people without kids, so schools may not play into it as much.
Yeah,
here.
correct.
Okay.
The property's older, built in 1920. Looks like it's in pretty good shape based on the pictures.
So you have, for everyone who can't see the picture of this, it's a brick rear, 2-story building, but on the front it's got some brick pillars, which, again, if you zoom in, Paul, it's even hard to see on the picture that you're looking at. But there's some tuck pointing issues to the bottom of the patio there.
Uh-huh.
When I say that, it looks like instability possibly with the front porch. From above there, you've got, even though the rest of the building's all brick, the second story is siding. Mm-hmm. It's a little different. So it changes from the curb appeal a little bit. But
The kitchen is dated. Definitely needs...
Don't you like that?
I love that.
See?
I love that.
Yeah, because the first thing we're going to focus on when we're trying to rehab these is kitchen and baths, right, Andrew?
correct.
Can I ask you a question, Andrew? What kind of rent can you get with these things rehabbed, do you think, in that area? So that's the only thing about these deal of the weeks that I can't do my research, so I can't go look. I'm going to have to rely on you for that.
Correct. And I'm still going to give estimates too.
Please do.
I'd say
How cordial you both are.
Thank you.
you could probably get another $150.
So $750 for the 2s?
Yeah.
Okay, and $650 for the 1 maybe?
In that area.
Okay.
Maybe $775, go to
What you
$675.
What you typing, Paul, on your?
I'm adding the rents in, saying okay.
So he's doing if we get the rents that we think we can get, and he's doing for the unit mix, so finding the average between those two numbers, multiplying it by the 4 units that we have times 12 months in the year, putting vacancy into it, and then he's getting, okay, this is how much I'll probably collect in a year after I do a rehab.
Now talk a little about vacancy, because Paul was talking about, if we're at 100 units, he kind of wants 10 of them. Last night we were talking. He kind of wants 10 of them empty. He doesn't want full occupancy because that would say perhaps his rents are too cheap.
Yes, if you have 100% occupancy.
But with 4 units, you're either at 100 or 75. So how does your mindset change on these smaller properties?
Well, you got to look at the year in general. During the year, you're going to look at your financial occupancy. So if you're 100% full all year, every year for 3 or 4 years, your rents are too low, right? you're right about you can't look at the one time frame. If let's say, for example, you get a vacancy and it flies off the shelf in a matter of a week, your rents are too low. Do you follow what I'm saying?
And use that to, I would say, stair step up. And I probably would use that mentality, Paul, because if you go the other way around, say, hey, I'm going to go for $995 out the gate, and that sits there for 5 months trying to lease it, and you keep slowly going down, you're losing a lot of potential rent.
Yeah.
Versus, Seth, to your point, if you did rent it, let's say you rent it for the number I just gave for a 2-bed. If I said 750, goes like that, then you're going to come back and say, okay, let's try it for 775, and you start trying to push your way up a little bit.
Okay, keep going, Paul. What are you thinking?
So $2,800 a month in rent, fully rehabbed. I think the property then is worth about $200,000. Does that sound like a reasonable number?
Yeah. And what's it take now?
Pardon me?
What's it take, your guess, to rehab it?
Yeah, so
Because at the end of the day, you have 4 units, so you got 4 kitchens.
yeah, 4 kitchens.
They all have
4 bathrooms.
1 bath. So yeah, 4 kitchens, 4 baths, and then you.
But some small exterior stuff. I'd say $12,000 to $15,000 a door.
And you, to the point of the small exterior, there's question mark on what's the driveway like, what's the brick like,
Yeah.
and the biggest question of all, there's a flat roof on this.
Yeah, the flat roof can be expensive, and that's where we tend to have some problems with properties. And
Get into that mic a little bit more and tell me that again.
flat roofs is where we have problems with properties. We tend to have those issues.
Why is that? I've
Well,
never seen
yeah, you've seen a flat roof. You've never seen a flat roof? It's literally just flat, and the problem is water accumulates and just sits there. So it eats away at the roof and eats away, as opposed to a pitched roof,
Sure.
where water comes off. And it's we've talked about converting flat roofs into pitched roofs because of how costly those flat roofs can be. So let's see here.
It's literally a rubber membrane, and
Insane
that
in a
rubber
membrane.
will separate everything, so the water just sits on it. Correct. You do have some drain spouts and stuff that it can
Yeah.
melt into if the slope and everything's correct on it. But over years, that slope that you can even build into a flat roof, first off, the slope is very minimal compared
Yeah.
to a pitched roof. And that slope, if you have any low spots or wear on your roof, then you're going to get ponding. And the second you get a leak, water gets in that pinhole or whatever it is, or some separation, it's going to find its way in. And then just because you have a leak in point A, like above your head on the top story, doesn't mean it's roof leaks right above you. Roof leak could be from 30 feet away, and the water just traveled to that spot. So you're hunting constantly and patching.
So I have my number, and I'm going to give 2 numbers. I'm going to give the number for if I want to have a lot of equity in the deal, because I'm starting to realize more and more that some people are just okay being into a deal for exactly what it's worth, as long as it's a properly rehabbed deal. So I'm going to give that price. If you want to be in this deal for exactly what it's worth, and you'll probably make 15% return with that, $140,000 as is. If you want to have some equity in there, $100,000 as is. And I'm assuming $60,000 in all rehab costs, some minor work here and there, about $3,750 in expenses, because you'll probably operate it yourself. You'll save some money there, and you'll be able to do this deal on your own and make some good money.
So rewind back real quick.
Yes.
You're saying 160 includes the initial purchase of
140 would include all the purchase, and you put another $60,000 into it. So you're into it for $200,000, which is about what it's worth.
how much excuse me, how much money would a normal person, how would they go about getting to the 200 in your mind?
What do you mean? How would they go about
Like
getting?
someone like me.
Yeah.
So
If I wanted to buy this,
Seth, you'd come in, you can buy it with, let's say, 75,
Percent.
80% down,
Yep.
and then from there you can go get a construction loan. And
Okay.
they'll do 75% of your construction
what if I
amount.
have 20% down?
I think banks will want 25% down.
Up on the acquisition of the house in your personal name, and let's say this is only one, because it's a 4 unit.
Yeah, they'll do 80%.
Then you can get your 80%.
Yeah, you're right.
Honestly, you can probably get 90, because it's
Say that one more time. I'm
you
sorry.
can probably get 90%, because it's a 4 unit. So in the world of real estate, anything from 1 to 4 units is still going to be considered a single family. When you get to 5, it's considered multi.
Okay, I
so
didn't
it
know
puts you in
that.
a different level of loan status.
Oh, I
And
thought
then
4 was where it started for the multifamily.
5's the magic number.
Oh.
So you can still put in your personal name and go after a
No
regular loan.
way. Had that for Seth.
Keep going.
Pause. Yeah, so you can get more aggressive on the purchase of it, but when you do a construction loan, they're going to come back. It's going to be 25%.
Go ahead, Seth.
So after we have 200 into this property,
It's worth 200, but you're still going to do very well. You're still going to make 15% return, and for a lot of people, that's great. I mean, you got to remember, our mindset is we can have access to lots of deals, so we need equity for doing our work. But if your goal is to do one good deal a year, one great deal a year, this one, if you're into it, as long as your numbers are right, the biggest key here is don't assume all the best assumptions and then pay the absolute best price. You got to make your assumptions, put some buffer in there, and you say, you know what, I'm okay being it for what it's worth, and I'm okay that my work is going to be having a good investment, having the best property in the street. Because if you rehab this property, you're going to have the best property in that area.
yeah.
And you're going to do a great job with that. You're going to stay full. You're going to be able to get good rents. You're probably going to have the best quality tenant in that area, which is a great thing to do. And it's something that I need to change as I guide people, as I teach people to do real estate. I need to change my mindset from everybody needs to do it the way I do it to what's your goal? If your goal is to do one great deal a year, which is what I want to do, then you need to, if you need to beat into a property for exactly what it's worth, but you're still going to make 15 to 20% returns for that, great. And if you do 90% LTV, you'll be making over 20%.
Well,
Repeat that last sentence.
If you're over 90% LTV, you're going to make over 20% return because you have less money in the deal. Loan to value, yes.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was going to say, so one of the other things that I know when Paul and I meet with someone and we were talk to them, there's expectations. What are you going to do at the property? Is this an investment, pure investment? Who's going to manage it?
Yeah.
Are you going to manage it yourself? If
These
so,
are huge questions that
you
normal
could-
people like myself have.
Correct. Well,
Talk about what does the management look like on a property like this? If a normal person was going to buy, rehab, and maintain this, what would that look like?
I would say a 4-unit. First, if let's say the average tenant stays 2 years, that means you're leasing 2 units a year. So you've got to lease 1 unit every 6 months. Can you do that in your spare time?
When you say lease, I mean
Show the place, click the application, click the deposit, get them in, done.
also probably fix it up a bit when someone moves out.
Yeah, but when you do the work, you're going to have a better quality tenant who's going to do less damage to it, and the property's going to be in good condition already. You'll have to do less work. That's why we always encourage putting work into the property too, and self-management. I mean, listen, if you're a professional who's like, I'm a lawyer, I can't go do that. Great, find a friend who can go do that for you and pay them $15 an hour cash and say, go handle this, or pay them $20 on the books.
If you go get a professional management company for this property,
Trust.
they will charge you 1 month lease as a fee every time they lease it for you. So in this case, if Paul's average rent was $700, they're going to charge you $700 to lease a unit, and they're also going to sit there and charge you a 10% management fee.
Can we give them a shout out?
We just had a buddy of ours just called me. It's just hilarious, but keep going, Andrew. I'm sorry.
So yeah, 10% management fee. So when we're talking, that's 10% of collected dollars every single year goes to the management company. So it's more money when
So
I'm saying.
if you 10% vacant and you pay 10%, you're already down to 80% like that. Just like that, without even blinking an eye.
if you collect every dollar,
If
too.
you collect every single dollar. So that's why we always tell people, don't be afraid to lease your own units. Management is simple, but it's not easy. It doesn't take a lot to, we'll teach you how to properly screen a tenant. That way you're not going to the property. Hey, Tim, how fast did you learn that when you were leasing houses for us? That you just properly screen the tenant ahead of time. That way you don't go to the property waiting for idiots to show up.
Plus you stack them.
Yeah, you stack them.
Friends, competition.
Yep. Hey guys, I'll be at the property at 3:00 to show units. Do you want to show up at 3:15? And then when they're walking in, the other people you showed it to are walking out. It shows demand. You're going to build that. Hey, somebody else is going to take it. If it's not you, you saw there were 2 other people here before you.
Yeah.
So, and we always encourage that just because management companies are just, it's hard being a management company because and it's also expensive to be a person who hires a management company. So do it yourself. It's 4 units. It's not going to be that bad. If you put the proper work into the property, you're not going to have many maintenance issues. Just make sure you have your, and I hate to say this, team together. That way you know if there is an issue, who you're sending out there. If it's you, even better. If it's not you, no big deal. Have your brother-in-law do it. Have your brother do it. Have your sister do it. It doesn't matter.
But yeah, while Paul's talking about money, if you're doing the management, you're doing the leasing, you're doing the collections, you're doing, let's say in this case, the grass cutting. What is there? Probably 20 feet of grass. But it's got to be cut, right? So you can pay someone, you can do it yourself. There's little things like that. You just decide how much you want to take on.
Yeah, I'd say.
And you take it on, yeah, you could pay yourself for that, but you're also theoretically increasing the returns of the building as
My
well.
first time owning a property, I would take a ruler out and actually cut with shears. Just go in there and cut the grass. Make sure every single grass was at 1.75 inches high.
When
All
was,
right.
when was the last time you fired up a lawnmower?
What's a lawnmower?
Keep going, Andrew.
Yeah, we need to keep going.
I bought a lawnmower once.
Keep going, Andrew.
I'm afraid for the next line.
What I did. I mean, it's pretty cool looking if you ask me.
All right, Paul, you came up with two numbers. You
Yeah,
said
so I wanted to cut you off, Andrew. So, Paul, judging on the length of how long it's been on the market, what do you think they're asking for this place?
Probably 200 right now.
Because you're usually surprised when the number comes over. In fact, from what you wanted to buy versus what they're currently trying to sell for has been drastically off in some of these deals of the week. So I'm interested to learn where this one's at.
Yeah, I mean, remember, I want to repeat over and over. The market's very hot right now, but they should take that as an indication. It's been sitting on the market for 200 and some days, and they haven't gotten their offer, haven't gotten sold. It tells them that their price is too high.
all right, 169.9.
Oh,
So
Not bad.
now
Not
there's
terrible.
a couple things. If you're trying to be in it at par, we showed a way that you're not that far off. It's
Yeah,
doable
140.
right. Your offer's not crazy, right? Now,
Oh,
if
can I
you're
make
buil-
another comment?
Yeah.
The great part about this property, too, is there's a unit vacant. So you can take it over, keep your income coming in on the other 3 units, rehab the 1 unit, rent it. The next time one of those other units goes vacant, rehab it, rent it. I mean, this is a great property to build. You can still take cash flow while you're turning the property around. You don't need to kick everybody out and say, get out of here. No, you can. This would be a great opportunity for somebody to even try 1 unit. Let me go rehab 1 unit. Let me learn my mistakes.
And if it takes you 3 months to do each unit, you will be 75% occupied for 1 year.
Correct.
So you will have less cash flow the first year, and that's something the bank's going to be asking and stuff too, and that's why they want it in your personal name and make sure that you can be able to afford it
Yep.
regardless of the rent.
Yep. 169, huh? I'm probably surprised. That's pretty good.
Right. I mean, it's off if you build in the margins and all that kind of stuff for the other number because you were at about 100.
100. If we did the deal tomorrow,
Right,
we'd
right.
want to buy it for 100.
Yeah.
So we couldn't buy that deal. But if somebody came to us and said, "Hey, I live in Lakewood. It's perfect location for me. I know I can get these rents. Blah blah blah." blah. Yeah, great. Let's go. I mean, go do that, and you're still going to make a 15 plus. You're still going to make a 15% return on your money. And if you do 90% LTV, you'll probably make even more than that.
All right.
Go
Do we have
ahead.
time? Can we squeeze another 4 unit in the same episode?
Well, I want to finish this one up real quick. Are you done?
Well, frankly speaking, like I said, as a newbie at all this, this is very intriguing.
Yeah, it's
as
wonderful.
opposed to a 70 unit, I'm like, wow, this is totally.
And Seth, can I repeat?
Sure.
If you do one of these a year, in 30 years, you will have $10 to $15 million in net worth. Doing one of these per year.
Even at one. So, yeah.
I heard the exhale there.
Isn't that incredible? Doing one of these per year, being into it for the 140, buying it for 140, being into it for exactly what it's worth, you will still be able to accumulate $10 to $15 million in net worth.
And using the numbers, assume 20%
Isn't that incredible?
down average on both. That's 40 grand a year you're putting in.
Oh yeah, you'll be worth way more
the-
than
and the
than
bank's
10
doing
to
the rest.
15 million. That's the thing. Isn't that incredible that you can do one of these a year and wake up 30 years? So those young professionals out there, sub 40, 45, you can do this. You can do this for sure. Bring some family and friends. If you did the money yourself, if you brought family and friends in,
No, I think what Paul's been coaching me on, folks out there, is if you feel like you might be alone in this, if you're listening to the podcast and you're not going to get a personal trainer to help you through this process, it might seem overbearing. But with the guidance from the Learn From Us folks, is that I think it might be more attainable. I hear that all the time from new interested people is, I'm just scared, the B to Y,
yeah,
they're scared about the step G
yeah,
that's going to halt them from even trying to get this place, because who's going to mow the yard? Well, someone you hire to mow the yard.
some
And-
kid down the street will mow the yard for
Yeah,
you.
and who's going to
Yeah, some kid mows this. There's 26 cuts in a year. He'll mow this for $10-15.
Oh, easily. Except at our dinner last night, the awkward part came when everybody's like, "What's the next step?" Like there was this silence. Remember that? I mean,
Yeah.
it was. But that's the objective of the show. The first step, the step A was let's get together and talk. Step B was what's the next step, and it was kind of like,
crickets?
yeah, it was. I mean, it was amazing.
When you guys talk about last night, what do you mean?
It was a go-go bar in a Mansfield.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, Paul, the prognosticator of prognosticators, left his computer in
an hour away from my house.
in a random tavern.
I pulled this tavern, and I called Seth. I'm like,
But
am
can I interrupt? You
Yes.
know it's in a good town because it's called a tavern.
Yes, correct. And I go, am I at the right place? He's like, why? What's the matter? I'm like, have you been here before? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. So I got in there, and first off, this is off the beaten path. Completely, I thought it was a house. Seth was joking and said that his GPS said, you will arrive in 1,000 feet. He's like,
bullshit. I mean, there's nothing out. It's like a forest.
I walk in, and there's like, you know, the old like VFW hall chairs, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I go to the hostess. I'm like, yeah, can I have a table for 5? Do you have a reservation? Do I need a reservation? Those are the words that came out of my mouth. She's like, no, we'll put you in the back. They wouldn't open the entire back section for our group. Very nice, great food. I loved my perch sandwich. Did you like your food?
Let's get back on topic.
I think this is a very important topic, though. No, go ahead.
You forgot your computer in Mansfield.
I forgot my
so-
computer in Mansfield. So now we have our assistant driving down to Mansfield to pick it up to bring it right back to me.
What a guy.
Well, anyway, Andrew, I was saying
he's
that,
paid to
like
do
I
that,
said,
Andrew.
for normal folks who might be just starting, this is incredibly intriguing. So what do you think, Paul? Tell me more about this price. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I think you can, again, you don't know where the seller's coming from. Maybe the seller is a guy whose wife is like, you need to sell that place. And he just puts a price on there and doesn't deviate. And he tells his wife, I don't have any offers that work. I mean, who knows what the reason why they're not deviating. Was there any reduction in price? That's been the price since day one.
10,000 off.
There's a hole in my paper from where Andrew cut out all the prices.
See,
That
that's
way I
where
can't-
Paul was going to sneak a little peek at the price.
Mr.
there.
Cardone used to do this in high school. When you put a lot in a paper, he'd cut it out and say, you have a hole in your paper.
I see.
So you don't know why they're holding on price. It seems like, I mean, again, maybe 140 versus 169 is tough, but I think to myself, this is a deal that can happen for somebody who really wants to sell and somebody who's ready to buy. Maybe you come in at 125, 130 and you negotiate yourself up to 140. And maybe you go through and you're like, it doesn't need this as much work as Paul says, and
Well, I think the big
you're
point
able
is,
to pay a
too,
little bit more money.
I think there's a couple things. One, you're saying 140. It's not let's go offer 140 and end up at 155.
No, but can I make another comment though?
Yeah.
If you go through this and realize it's only kitchen and bathrooms needed, and you're only spending $10,000 per unit, now you have 20 grand more. You're at 160. If a deal can't happen at 160, I don't know what can happen.
Correct. But based on some other photos of carpet and linoleum floors and some others, I'm going to guess that our number for construction was accurate. But it brings up the idea, if this exists, there's probably more that are still similar. And if you offer whatever number and you get to 140 and they say no, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. You can come back after 500 days and offer the 140, and maybe they say yes. You can also just go to the next deal. There's something else out there.
Are there other deals out there?
Well, there's other properties for sale.
Yeah.
Let's hold off on that second property for another episode.
Let's do it.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Paul, thanks for the insight on this property. Like I said, this is really getting me thinking about what's available out there.
Oh, yeah.
I've never even seen a 4-unit, but it would probably be one of my first purchases. Right, Paul? 2, 3, 4 units would probably be one of my first purchases. So,
Seth, you could swing this.
well, that's why I'm so
Intrigued.
intrigued. Yeah, I mean,
If you were going to start off as, let's say, first time you've ever done it, you're 25 years old, you got a couple extra bucks, you could live in one of the units as well.
Absolutely.
And by the way, when you talk about people taking care of it, they're probably going to take care and beat the unit up a little bit less, knowing the owner is living next to them.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying your own principal down, they're paying it down. They're probably going to stay longer than 2 years as well.
Look at Mary's, daughter's boyfriend. He did that. He bought a 4-family, and he lives in one of the units, and it pays for it. He has free living because that's part of his return. You know what I mean? It's free living. It's a great way, of course.
If you guys are interested, visit learnfromus.com. Website's being polished every day. You can call Paul. His personal number is 1-800-MIX-A-LOT if you're interested in getting more insight on these purchases.
If it's busy, call again.
Follow us if you're listening online. Go to our YouTube page and check us out. The YouTube page, Learn From Us Investor Academy YouTube page. You can see us and what we're laughing about. And what else, Paul? Stay tuned for more podcasts. Go, Paul.
We're very proud about how our viewership and listenership has increased very, very steadily every single week. We have like record weeks every single week, and it's very exciting. We get compliments. It's a very fun time. I'm very proud of that.
We're very committed to these podcasts. We're going to be doing twice a week, right, Tim? Twice a week? Mondays and Thursdays at 9:30 in the morning. Yep. these come out. Tim does a great job of premiering them on Facebook and YouTube. So subscribe, like, comment,
Subscribe.
and subscribe. Tell Paul how ugly he is. He needs to be
comment.
He needs to be pulled down a
My
bit.
ego
Comment.
is
Yeah,
Paul,
just
Paul's
bring him-
sitting at home. Literally, he's got his puppies on
Yes.
his side, and he's like,
Just typing
please
in.
comment. Please comment.
If
Send
you're
them.
watching on YouTube, go drop a comment on where you're listening from.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
tell us where you're at. And Paul personally answers Facebook and YouTube comments. He,
I do.
I think from the get-go, he wanted to be not some guy that hires out the work where we tell you you're hiring Paul and Andrew to give them their thoughts on real estate, and you're actually talking to someone else. You're actually talking to these folks. So thanks everyone for listening. Stay tuned for more podcasts, for more deals of the week. We love you guys. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
podcast.
Thanks, Andrew. Love you.
Out.